It's Deborah A coming at you live on Monday. Happy April Fool's Day. How are you today? I am so excited for those of you who have a victim mindset, who fear the victim mindset, who try to squash the victim mindset. I got you today. I'm going to share with you a story. It's a mixed story of a few different issues, a few different occasions in the past week where I've heard an inspiring speaker, an inspiring teacher give me the advice to leave the victim mindset behind, to grab life by the horns, and to take control of my destiny, to let go of the victim mindset, or that everything happens to me. Oh, woe is me. And yeah, I'm in leadership development. Yeah, I do personal development. Yeah, I work with relationships. And yeah, I could go with that. I totally get where that perspective is going. I totally get it. Totally get it. And I'm going to invite you to dream a little bit today. Will you dream with me? Just a little bit. So, I noticed for myself this morning, actually, that I was feeling this discomfort, this shame, a little bit of shame, a little bit of guilt. And when I really tuned in, I noticed that I had who I know as my managers inside saying, oh no, did we let the victim mindset in you go crazy? We didn't we didn't squash her, we didn't rein her in, we didn't make sure that she was silent, we didn't. Oh, maybe we were supposed to do that. Maybe we were supposed to not have that victim mindset. Maybe we were supposed to think that I, Deborah, am the creator of my universe and everything that happens for me. Oh, for sure. I actually believe that 100%, by the way. But this victim mindset, this part of me that feels like a victim, that feels like things are happening to me and that things are bad. Oh, not okay. Oh, it's so not cool. It is not sexy. It is not appealing. I'm sure this sounds familiar. I'm sure you're very familiar with everything that I'm sharing with you. The idea that excuses are our enemies. Now, I really do understand this line of thought, by the way. I really do get it and I do appreciate it and I think it does have value. But I do think it's been overvalued in our society at the expense of our inner victims, at the expense of our pain and our vulnerabilities. And one of the biggest fears that people have is, but if I let that part say what they think, if I utter the words that I'm sad or that I feel like something unfair happened to me or I'm um, angry at some injustice, if if I say that, then I'm succumbing to the victim mindset, and that is a massive no-no. I am not in control of my universe and my destiny, and I am not the lord of my home and all of the things. It becomes this great fear that we have of admitting we feel sometimes like a victim. And yet, where has all of the suppressing and not stating and ignoring or discarding of that victim mindset, where has it really gotten us? Has that victim mindset really gone away? Is it really gone? Okay, let's just say it is. It's gone. What happens when we hear our child or our spouse or our friend or our colleague or our employee tell us something that sounds just a little whiff of that victim mindset, what do we do? Oh, oh, we're very quick to say, we don't do that here. That's negativity. That's victim mindset. That's keeping you weak. That's keeping you frail. That's keeping you at effect instead of at cause. Yeah. And sometimes that gets oh yes, you're right, you're right. I gotta really work on that mindset of mine. I gotta shift that. And sometimes you get a and then we call those people what? We call them toxic, we call them negative, we call them energy vampires. I mean, we've got all kinds of lovely names for people when their victim mindset persists. Well, I want to say something. Most likely, we would not say, fix your victim mindset to a small baby or a toddler. No, I'm not saying that people haven't done it. I'm sure I did. I'm sure I did. When my child was a toddler, I probably did. I'm not, this is, I cast no stones here. There is zero judgment. I'm just sharing with you a perspective of how we have grown up learning to squash different aspects of ourselves. But more likely when we're small, we don't we're not squashed quite as quickly often in those areas of victim mindset. It takes a little while because the little baby is still learning. They're developmentally not even really able to understand what victim mindset really means, right? They just might notice that it wasn't okay that they cried or that they expressed that they were in pain. Maybe they got teased by their siblings. Maybe they got scolded. They don't really understand all of it. They just get that something they did wasn't okay. And then eventually they figure out, oh, I can't pretend like I have any weaknesses. So what happens is they grow. They try to show how they're not a victim. They try to be independent. They try to do everything on their own. And don't get me wrong, independence is a very, very important stage in our growth and development. It's just not the pinnacle. That's the challenge. The challenge is not that it's invalid, it's very valid. All of these phases are valid. The challenge is that come to glorify independence. And that's why we have an epidemic of loneliness right now. Because most of us that are really, truly, quote unquote, functioning in society, we are struggling to connect in deep and meaningful ways. We connect better with our favorite characters in our K dramas than we do with our siblings, our parents, our kids. Speaking from experience here, like I said, I'm casting zero stones. Just bringing some things to the surface. No judgment. So, when we're there and we're understanding that we don't have deep connections, that if something happened to us and we ended up in the hospital tomorrow, yeah, there would be people who would come, but how much will we really be wanting to open up to them? Would they know where to go get our drawers from our home? Would they know what our favorite meals are, what we need in terms of support? Very few people have that type of community, especially when you talk about dealing with corporate America. I'm not saying that it's non-existent, but it's very, very rare. So here's what's happened. A lot of times we go to loneliness and we go to loss of vision or unmet needs or any of the things that make people pretty disenfranchised with corporate America. And we go at it from an angle of, okay, this person needs to do something to fix themselves. They need to overcome their victim mindset. They need to break through their limiting beliefs. They need to break through their blocks. I hear you. I'm not judging you, but there's an easier way. That's all I'm going to say. It's okay. What you're doing is fine. If it's working for you, keep doing it. Skip past the rest of this video. Keep going. But there is an easier way. Okay? The easier way, I call it radical self activation. And the ACT stands for acceptance, compassion, and trust. ACT, radical self acceptance, radical self compassion, and radical self trust. So, what does that look like with the victim mindset? The victim mindset says, "Oh, poor me, woe is me, nothing's working, I feel so bad." I had this happen a few days ago. I was like, okay, this is a part of me that needs some love from me. Oh, okay. Tell me more about that. What else should I know about how this feels? It feels awful. I feel like God has it out for me. Life doesn't like me. Nobody wants me. Nothing. Okay, I hear you. Anything else? Isn't that enough? Isn't that enough? Okay, I hear you. So, if you didn't feel what are you concerned would happen if you didn't feel that way? If you didn't feel like it was hopeless, that you were the victim? Well, if I didn't feel that way, maybe I would keep trying. But I would keep trying from this deluded place where it's not actually going to work. But I would keep trying. I could see where that would be a problem. Got you. I hear you. I see you. What else would you like to share? That's it. What else do you need from me? Just remember, just remind me. In like 2, 3 minutes. Now, of course, this is a role play. It'll sound different in your head than it does in mine. But in a few minutes, the angst has dissipated. It's not completely gone. Don't need it to be gone. Don't need it to change. But it's being acknowledged. This is a big challenge in our world that is at the root of all suffering is the needs being unmet. It's not to say that no action needs to be taken. However, whatever action we take from a belief that it's not going to work or it's awful or whatever it is, whatever belief we have when we're taking that action is going to definitely affect the results that we get. Okay? So there's really no point in focusing on results. It's really much more important to focus on how we're actually feeling and believing from moment to moment. And let's just be real. And everyone will say that, but here's the piece that they're not getting. Here's the thing that I don't see enough of in personal development is the radical acceptance, compassion, and trust. Trust that every single aspect of you, including the victim mindset, is there for a good reason, not crazy. There to give you some really, really incredible advice or wisdom or insight into how you work, and actually can figure out a higher expression if you would just hear them out. If you would really hear them out, they know where they need to go. They know what they need to do. They know what's actually important. If you can actually trust that every single part of you knows what is important, if you could actually just accept them for a moment. And I say just, it's not a just, really, it's not a just. It's not easy because everything in our society, there's a really interesting quote by Carolyn Caldwell, and it says, in a world, I think it's, let me see if I can look it up because I have it here somewhere. In a society, I think it says, she says, in a society that profits from your self doubt, liking yourself is a rebellious act. So I've been sharing this message about how advertising, um, not only does it hijack our nervous system, but it makes us really, it manipulates our tribal needs, our needs for community and connection, our needs to see ourselves in a positive light, but it does it in a really warped and unhealthy way that makes us dependent on consumer products or practices that are mainstream societal norms to get our sense of well-being or to get our sense of feeling good. And not saying that any of the products that have ever been advertised are bad. I'm sure they're all wonderful, but it's more so that the way that they're being advertised is not healthy. Okay. And so and our kids are getting it at younger and younger and younger ages. So it's created this massive epidemic of loneliness, of feeling, which leads to addictions because we're trying to meet needs. By the way, all of this has absolutely, I shouldn't say absolutely, but very little to do with actual like loneliness because you're divorced or something. Like that's all surface symptoms. The core really stands in the narrative that our society has adopted about ourselves as human beings. But that's a different story for a different day. I'm not going there today. So coming back to this idea of a society profiting from our self doubt, and that the greatest act of rebellion that we can make is to love ourselves, to like ourselves. Radical self activation, radical self acceptance, radical self compassion, radical self trust. This is how we change the world. We start within. We start with parts like our victim mindset that are always getting a bad rap. But they're there for a good reason. Has anyone ever asked to find out why they're there? Okay, then. Don't get me started on that. And again, I say this without judgment, okay? This is not an accusatory kind of thing. It's more, I'm trying to raise the awareness. I'm trying to raise a topic of conversation so that you can start thinking about it. You can start processing that in your system because these are the things in the hardware update that actually make a massive difference. It's not all the external KPIs of number of units sold and number of homes, made with biomass electricity. No, it's here. It's in the radical self activation of each person in your organization, starting with yourself. The biggest paradox in the personal/leadership development industry is that you need to change. That is the premise upon which all transformational products and services are sold, is that you need to change. You need to lose weight. You need to get a husband. You need to be a better caregiver for your dog. You need to be able to make a pizza from scratch. You need to change. I'm not saying that none of those things are true. What I am saying is that that is the premise upon which the entire process is built. And I'm saying that's not the best premise to build the process on. The best premise to build the process on, the the best premise to build the process on is I am whole, I am complete, I am wonderfully made. I am so wise and I am so excited to dig into the wisdom of who I already am. It's a completely different premise. And you may be doing the same things and you may be getting the same results, but the effectiveness, the level of tension in the body, it lessens when you base it on the premise of already being whole, already being wise, already being so likable, lovable, beautiful, worthy of compassion and trust and acceptance that you can then explore. It's an adventure to be a support to all the different aspects of yourself, to be really, truly be your own best friend. Not so that you can be an island by yourself, so that when you're engaging and interacting with other people, be it people who work for you or people you work for or people you work with, whatever it is, you can actually be there for them because you're good. You have the ability to say, okay, I can temporarily compartmentalize because I'm not bypassing. Later on, I'm going to come back and I'm going to address this feeling. So, and I know it'll be taken care of. So, right now, I can give my full and undivided attention to this other person. It's how we show up in our best and essential leadership. Okay. What else is coming through? I think the final thing I want to leave you with is that this war on the victim mindset that we have in personal and leadership development, ban the witness victim mindset, ban the excuses. I get it. I get it. It's kind of like boundary setting. I get it. I get why people do it. I get why people feel it's necessary, but it actually isn't. There is an easier way. If you're interested in me talking about boundary setting, I haven't done that in a while. I'm happy to do that too. But I just wanted to leave you with this thought that radical self-acceptance, compassion, and trust is the easier way through the process with the victim mindset in tow with you. You're not leaving it behind. You're not throwing stones at it. You're taking it lovingly with you. There are so many gifts in that victim mindset that only you can unlock. I don't know what your gifts are. Each person's gifts are going to be slightly different, right? But you don't know until you actually have the conversation, until you actually explore. And so this is what I do. I help guide and facilitate because all of this is very, very simple, but it's been made to look like you're crazy if you're having a conversation with yourself or with different aspects of yourself. You look like you're nuts. But honestly, it is so much easier, so much cheaper, and so much more enjoyable than going through the alternative, which is pushing through and hustling and trying to striving all that striving energy that creates so much tension in the body. I can always feel it in my shoulders and my neck. All that striving energy, where does that take you? Where does it lead you? It leads you to a different kind of burnout. It may take a little longer because you're sipping more Mai Tais and you're taking more vacations, but you will still get to burnout. You'll get to personal development burnout. But personal development, ongoing, lifelong journey. So why not make it fun? There's an easier way. And if you need any help, I'm here. I'm here to support individual leaders and leaders and their teams in growing genuine psychological safety and trust in their environment, where they work, where they live. That's what I do. Now, what I'd like to read in the comments are your thoughts. What came up for you from this live stream today? What came up for you? What's alive for you from this? Do you feel a lot of resistance, a lot of judgment, a lot of relief, joy? What came up? I would love to read. All right, that's it for me. Happy Monday. Enjoy the rest of your week. Much love. Bye.